Hey guys, Devin here, Team Alive. Going to be talking today about the Phantom 2 quadcopter drone made by DJI. I did not purchase this from DJI. I bought it from DSLR Pros. They sell complete packages. I got the Sundance package, so it comes with the craft itself, I believe it's known as the Futaba. And before I continue, I just want to let it be known that I am not really big, and I don't have a whole lot of knowledge into the whole specs and certain parameters and all these other kinds of things. Okay, I'm a big outdoorsman, and I like to record what I do, and I use this craft to do that. So I do not do conventional flying. I'm flying in canyons, ice caves, you name it, where you probably shouldn't fly it. I am flying it. So for those of you out there that have this craft or something similar to it, you're kind of asking yourself, well, how would it handle? I'm going to tell you. Okay, so moving on. It comes in this really big Pelican case. It's great if you're going to take it on a plane or a long trip, but for what I do, I don't put it in here. This is incredibly heavy. There's no way I'm going to bring this on my pack, especially when I'm going mountaineering and I'm going really high in the mountains. So what I've done is I actually bought another bag. This is a Mammut bag. It's called the Mammut Neon Cargo 60 liter, and I took some styrofoam and I put it inside here, and I cut out an indentation that you can see if you can actually see it here. There we go. I cut out an indentation in there so that I could put the craft in there, and I put everything in, and then I put this on top of it. And this weighs a fraction of what the entire thing weighs, and I strap this bag onto my pack that I'm already wearing. So it does kind of throw me off balance a little bit, but it works for me. And the bag is made of really good material, and it works great for what I'm using it for. But if it's not something you're willing to do, I understand, because this craft that I have here cost me in the range of about $3,500. So continuing on. It's got the first-person view. It uses I got the Futaba controller. I believe that's what it's known as. And the range on this thing is unbelievable. I still have yet to find out how far I can get from my craft, because I've gotten it so high and I've gotten it so far that I normally lose visual of it before I lose control of it. So. And that's whether I'm looking at it from the attachable screen. I'll pull that out now. So I have this screen as well. I'm not sure who makes it, but this is what comes with the Sundance package, and it mounts right onto the remote control here. So a lot of stuff to remember to charge, but the screen gives me that first-person view when I lose sight of it. And I say when because I lose sight of this craft a lot, because it's small. And it is loud when it's close, but it doesn't take long before it gets out there and a gust of wind comes and you can't hear it and you can't see it. So you're kind of looking at the screen to figure out where it is. Fortunately, it has that fail-safe feature. We'll get into that later. So, I normally fly with the standard propellers on here. I haven't had too much luck when it comes to the carbon fiber blades. The carbon fiber blades tend to make this fly a little bit erratic for me, and I have heard that there is a download, because it changes the it changes the acoustics of the craft when you put the carbon fiber blades on here, and I have not done any kind of download for that. So maybe that is the issue. I'm not 100%, but I know I use the normal self-tightening plastic blades that come with it. They're cheap, and if you've never owned one of these, you're gonna break blades. It's gonna happen. So be ready for that. Carbon fiber blades are like $50. These are like $15. So I get better flight out of them, and they're flexible. So when they're inside my pack, it's moving around. I won't have to worry about the carbon fiber busting through one of my packs, because it's so rigid, as opposed to this, where this has some dynamic flexibility in there. It's a good design. It is plastic, so it's not that durable. If this crashes, and you will crash, you can break it, and I haven't broken it yet. Normally, I will sacrifice my own safety for the craft, because it's so expensive. So when I see this thing coming down, I will make the attempt to grab it. I'm not recommending that you do that. If this one of these blades hits you while it's spinning, it's probably going to hurt. So, and I've had it hit my hand and it hurt, but I didn't care. I'd rather save the craft. I got the GoPro Hero 3 Plus on here. After I got this, then the Hero 4 came out, so imagine that. But kind of what sucks is the GoPro is meant to be a waterproof camera, but when it's on the craft, it's not waterproof because you can't put the case on here. I wish that would be addressed to make it kind of waterproof. Now, granted, you're not going to put this in the water, but for what I do, if I'm in a canyon, and if you watch some of our videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. If this thing happens to crash, I want to save as much money as I can trying to replace the parts that have been destroyed from the water. And GoPros are, what, $300-400 now? So I'd rather, if they could find a way to make the GoPro waterproof, at least that'd be one less thing I would have to replace if this does crash in the water. Because you're going to want to get surfing shots on the ocean, you're out there boating, kayaking, whatever. You're going to want to get those shots, and you can do it, but sometimes this thing does come erratic. Let's talk about that for a second. This quadcopter, I didn't get too many specs on it when I bought it when it comes to the kind of stuff that I film in. So I've taken this thing up from where I'm standing, which is about 1,200 feet from sea level. I've taken it up, I think I've taken it 600 meters from where I was standing. And each meter's 3 feet. You guys do the math. So I've taken it probably in the range between 1,000 and 1,200 feet, somewhere in there. And, whoa, and it worked great. Yep, you guys can all laugh at that later. Anyways, the craft has been known to act a little erratic when it gets up kind of high. And I'm not really sure if it's just my craft. I've kind of looked at other people's experiences and have found that maybe it may just be my craft. I'm not sure. This does not do well when it comes to very high altitudes. So I've tried taking this when I go mountaineering. When you go mountaineering, the air gets thinner as you go up. For those of you that are not big mountaineers, you won't know what I'm talking about. But essentially, thinner air, less lift, and this has the same problem. So I've had some times where I've taken it up probably around, I think the highest I've flown it is probably around 11 to 12,000 feet. And it takes a while. Going full throttle, it goes up real slow, but it does climb. The problem is that I've had it lose lift, and it starts coming down, and as it's coming down, it's doing this. So, and I can't control it. You can control it to pivot, but it's not going to be directional, and you're definitely not going to be able to regain that lift. And I'm not really sure why it does that, but I've had it happen, and very nervous. I don't want to lose or destroy the craft. But some of you out there are going to be like, well, then don't take it on a mountain. I get it. Well, I'm doing it anyway. So, you're not going to get the kind of shots with a standardized camera that you're going to get with this. This will take your films or whatever it is you're filming to a whole nother level, even maybe to a professional level if you're really good at manipulating the craft and really good at editing your videos out. Let's talk about that for a second. These skids on the bottom of the craft. Wait for my neighbor to drive away. These skids on the bottom of the craft here, they're obviously they're made out of plastic. And you do need them so that it's not damaging the camera when it lands. The problem is the left skid. So as you're looking at the craft and you got the camera in here, you're looking right at the front of it. The left skid, so this one right here, will oftentimes get in the shot, and especially if you make a really sharp turn or your craft is battling the wind, you have the gimbal that's keeping the camera stable so you won't notice it, but up in the air, your craft is really battling a lot of elements that you're being unaware of if you're in GPS mode. But I've had this bar get in here a few times, and I find myself having to, when I do pivots or an aerial shot, I'll go from left to right as opposed to going right to left. Because when I go right to left, the gimbal will kind of position it so that the left skid is in the shot, and I don't like that. It does come with a safe mode. The safe mode is so that when you go out, if you can't see the craft and you're like, oh crap, you can hit the failsafe and it will return home. I haven't had it fail me yet. I've used it. I've done multiple tests with this thing prior to taking it out to any kind of adventure, and it worked great. I had one time where I legitimately lost it. Legitimately lost my craft. Could not see it, could not hear it, could not see anything on my screen. And what sucked is that I was very high up in the mountain, and what I did was to prevent from hitting any kind of obstacle when it returns, because the minute you hit failsafe, it's going to go, oh, you're this way, and it's going to fly in a straight line. It will climb about 20 meters before it starts to go, but it's going to go in a straight direct line. So if you're flying somewhere where you got power lines, buildings, whatever, if you go over an object and you hit failsafe, it may hit that object coming back. So make sure you have plenty of altitude. I haven't heard of anybody taking one of these out and saying, oh, it will go down before it goes because it's already too high. No, it will go even higher and then it will come back. So keep yourself plenty of altitude, because it will come right over to where it needs to land and it will start coming down. In which case you could probably switch to attitude mode, which will give you full manual capability and you'll have to battle the elements by yourself. But at least then you can see your craft and you won't lose it. Some of the flaws I don't like about it. If you do lose your craft, you're kind of screwed, because there's no GPS on here that's going to continue telling you where it is. There is, as soon as this craft turns off on my screen, it will show me an approximate grid coordinate on where this is, but the minute this turns off, the grid's gone, and I can't, that's it. So unless I know where it is, I'm not going to be able to retrieve it, or I'm going to have a very hard time trying to find it. The other thing is the attitude mode. When I first got this, it wasn't programmed into the craft. I had to call DSLR and have them teach me to do the run through to put it in a different mode setting so that I would have it. And you're going to need that sometimes, especially when you're flying in an area that you don't have a lot of sky. If you don't have sky, you're not getting GPS mode. And keep in mind, just because you have GPS mode, when you take off, you may have 11 satellites or more. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to maintain those satellites the whole time. You may lose satellite coverage, and it's going to come back on its own unless you put it in attitude mode. So keep that in mind. You don't want your craft, you don't want to lose it. So another thing that I don't particularly care for about the craft is I wish that it kind of broke down a little bit more. It is kind of compact, but you know, again, you got the flimsy plastic that's all the way around it, which is nice for when you have to make a repair. But you know, you don't want to have to deal with that when you're out. So it's not too cumbersome, but when you're trying to go very minimal, you know, you definitely want to try and make it to where you're not packing as much. But it is a great device. The batteries are heavy. They take a while to charge. You have to bring a lot with you if you're going to take this out on any kind of adventure. 3 batteries, all the cords for each battery. You may have to bring an inverter or some type of generator so that you have enough amps to power the damn thing, to be able to charge it. And the GoPro takes its own charger, and the batteries in the remote, the batteries in the screen, and the remote has its own set of special charging connector that you have to insert to be able to charge it, and it's a mess. So if you're going to go somewhere, the best thing I can tell you, have all the batteries you need prior to going, so you don't need to take all that crap with you. Because first of all, you're not going to bring something that's going to be able to charge it out into the backcountry. I haven't found anything yet, and it adds more weight anyway. But I've gotten some amazing shots with it. I love this thing. It's awesome, but it's cumbersome, and it's not going to hold up to the water, so it kind of takes a lot of the elements that I want to film out of the equation, because it's just not worth the risk for me. But, you know, something to keep in mind when you're filming: don't fly over and film something that you are not able to get up and retrieve that craft. If for some reason you're flying and say you're at the bottom of a canyon and you want to get this great shot way up high, the bird's eye view, and all of a sudden a gust of wind blows it over the lip of the canyon, well, if it goes down up there, you have to go up there and get it. And that's going to be very difficult, because what happens when the battery goes out? Your grid's gone and you're not going to find it. So I've had it happen. I was not prepared for it to crash. Thank God the craft it was starting to go erratic, but thank God it actually I was able to regain my GPS, and I was able to control it to make it come back. But it ended up crashing when it got really close to me, and I had to grab it. That's when it bit me on the hand. But I do like the craft. I know they got the new Inspire coming out. My review's a little delayed, but I'm telling you, this is a great craft. I hope they continue to make parts for it and not make it obsolete, because I want to continue to use this and not keep having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars trying to keep up with what's coming out next. Even though I love the Inspire and I wish I had it, I'll probably never own it for many years. So that's what I have for this. I recommend it if you're serious about filming. If you're not, it's probably out of the price range, because you can crash it. But other than that, it's a great piece of camera equipment, and you're not going to get any other. You're not going to get the shots that you can get with this without it. You need some type of aerial craft.